There was lipstick on the mirror. Not mine. I stared at the words she'd written. Be back later, kiss mark. In a shade I didn't recognize. The bathroom smelled like hairspray, cheap perfume, and electricity. She always left a mess when she rushed out. But this time something felt too clean, too intentional. My plate was still warm. The wine I poured had started to sweat. She never said a word about the dinner, or the rain that had been pouring since noon, or the fact that I left work early, something I never do. Just a slammed bedroom door, a blast of music, and then high heels clacking down the hallway, front door shutting like a period on a sentence I wasn't allowed to finish. She chose a rooftop party over a conversation, glitter and noise over a meal and me. Said Maya had a thing. Last minute. Can't miss it. You know how she is. I didn't. And I didn't ask questions. I never do. Instead, I cleaned the spilled mascara off the sink and reheated the garlic chicken for myself. Ate in silence. Even toasted alone. To us, like a goddamn fool. I heard nothing from her that night. Not a single text. The last thing I saw was her location blinking somewhere downtown at 2:17 a.m. Then it disappeared. At 9:00 for the next morning, I heard soft knocking. 3 quiet taps. The kind a stranger makes when they're scared to be heard. She stood there barefoot, hair damp from the drizzle, black dress wrinkled, eyes swollen. I opened the door and stared at her. She didn't speak, didn't even blink, just held my gaze like she expected me to say something. But I didn't, because I'd already seen the video. I didn't invite her in. She just stood there on the welcome mat like a stranger who forgot what she came for. Her eyes flicked to the side, avoiding mine, like even making eye contact would confirm too much. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, heartbeat rattling in my ears, and waited for something. An explanation, a lie, a laugh, anything. But she just opened her mouth like she was going to speak, and then stopped herself again. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask her where she had been, who she had been with, what part of our night was so easy to erase from her memory. But instead, I stood there, jaw clenched, every part of me buzzing like a storm was trapped in my chest. She shifted her weight, arms wrapped around herself like she was cold, though the morning was already humid. Finally, she whispered, "Can I come in?" Her voice cracked like it hadn't been used in hours. I didn't respond. I just stepped aside. She walked past me like a ghost, barely brushing against my shoulder, and I could smell the scent of someone else's cologne mixed with the remnants of her perfume. That was new, not mine. She sat at the edge of the couch, like she was scared it would swallow her. I stood across from her, watching, trying to calculate just how much damage had been done in 12 hours. There was a smear of foundation under her eye and a dried smear of something on her collarbone that she hadn't seen in the mirror. She looked exhausted, or ashamed, or both. And me? I was broken in a new way. Quietly. Completely. Like someone had replaced my insides with cold sand. She opened her mouth again and said, "Cliff, I need you to listen before you say anything." No apology. Not even a hey. Straight to a request. I almost laughed. "Are you hurt?" I asked finally. "Did something happen?" She looked startled, like she hadn't expected concern from me. She shook her head. "No, I'm fine. It's not that." But she didn't continue. She just stared at the floor. That's when I pulled my phone from my pocket, opened the screen, pressed play. The video was only 15 seconds. Grainy, blurry, shot by someone at the rooftop party, probably not even knowing who they were filming. I didn't know the guy. He had a sharp jaw, dark curls, and his hands were on her waist. They were laughing. Her head tilted back, fingers grazing his chest like it was second nature. Then the kiss. I didn't even know who sent it to me. Just a random number with no context. When the video ended, I placed the phone on the coffee table between us and walked to the kitchen. My hands were shaking as I poured coffee into a chipped mug, her favorite one, of course. I didn't offer it to her. I drank it myself. Behind me, I heard her inhale sharply. "I didn't mean for that to happen," she said, her voice hollow. I turned slowly. "Didn't mean to kiss him?" I asked. "Or didn't mean to get caught?" She flinched like I'd slapped her. It was just a moment. I drank too much. Everyone was drinking. I don't even know who that guy was. Cliff. She was unraveling, rambling, saying all the wrong things in all the wrong order. I stayed silent, because in that moment, I wasn't thinking about the kiss. I wasn't even thinking about the party. I was thinking about something she didn't know I had seen. Something far worse. Something she left in the laundry basket. A hotel receipt. And his last name matched the one on it. I didn't confront her with the hotel receipt yet. I wasn't ready. I needed to hear how far she'd go with her version of the story first. I wanted to see if she'd lie straight through it all. That would tell me more than the kiss ever could. So I just stood there, sipping from the chipped mug, feeling the coffee burn the back of my throat while her words spun around the room like dead leaves in a wind tunnel. I don't even remember how I got home, she muttered. I must have called a cab. Or maybe Maya drove me. I don't know. She wasn't even trying to sound convincing. Just aimless stammering, like if she said enough meaningless words, one of them would land and somehow erase everything. What about your car? I asked calmly. She froze. You left in your car, Riley. Her eyes darted up, caught. I waited. Nothing. That was when I finally walked over to the laundry room and picked up the receipt. I'd found it by accident that morning, wedged between her black jeans and my hoodie in the basket she never bothered to empty. It was crumpled, smudged with makeup, and smelled faintly of a citrusy cologne I'd never worn. I held it out to her with 2 fingers. Do you want to explain this part before I assume what I already know? She took it like it burned. I watched her eyes flick across the words. The Halston Hotel, room 412, 2:51 a.m. check-in, 11:07 a.m. check-out. And I saw her soul leave her body. Just for a second. Then she composed herself. Or tried to. That's not what it looks like, she said immediately. Of course. The classic line. Really? I asked. Because I'm pretty sure it looks like you kissed a stranger at a party and checked into a hotel with him 3 hours later. Her voice came out strangled. I didn't sleep with him. Then what did you do? Play Uno until sunrise? I made a mistake, Cliff, she snapped, finally showing some fire. I was drunk. I was confused. I felt like we were drifting apart, and I slammed my mug down on the table so hard coffee splashed onto the wood. Taco, who had been sleeping in the corner, jumped. You felt like we were drifting apart, so your first instinct was to wrap your legs around someone else? You didn't even talk to me. Silence. Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't move. Not this time. I had moved too many times before. I had forgiven when I shouldn't have, shrugged off things that hurt, bit my tongue when she flirted too openly with friends at weddings or laughed too hard at her coworkers' jokes. I had been understanding. I had been patient. I had been quiet. But not anymore. She wiped her face, smearing makeup across her cheek, and whispered, You never fight for me, Cliff. You never get angry. You just fade into the background. That one hit me sideways. I wanted to scream. I don't get angry because I trust you, or trusted you. But I couldn't find the breath. Instead, I stared at her, really stared, and realized she wasn't crying because of guilt. She was crying because she didn't want to be the bad guy. I never fought for you. I repeated, quieter this time. I rearranged my entire life for you. You just never noticed. She looked down again. And this time, she had nothing left to say. But I did. And the next thing I said would shift the balance of everything. Pack a bag, Riley, I said. Not because I'm kicking you out, but because I need to leave. I don't trust myself to be near you right now. Her lips parted in shock. That was the last thing she expected. And I meant every word. She didn't move when I said it. Didn't flinch. Didn't argue. Just stared at me like she didn't recognize the man standing in front of her anymore. And maybe she didn't. Maybe I didn't either. The Cliff she married would have begged her to stay. Would have blamed himself. Asked what he could do differently. Apologized for being too boring, too quiet, too forgettable. But this version of me, the one who had sat in silence all night long, imagining all the things she might be doing with someone else, seeing it play out in real time on a stranger's phone screen. This version was done negotiating with ghosts. I packed slowly, calmly. I didn't even slam the drawers like I thought I would. I took 3 shirts, 2 pairs of jeans, a bag of toiletries, and my laptop. I didn't plan on being gone long. I just needed distance. Breathing room. A space where her perfume didn't cling to every corner of the air. As I zipped my duffel, I heard her footsteps behind me. I'm not going to stop you, she said softly. But I didn't go to that hotel to hurt you. I didn't look at her. Then why did you go? She hesitated. Because I needed to feel wanted. Like I still mattered. That nearly knocked the wind out of me. She needed to feel wanted? How ironic. I had spent every day trying to show her that. And the moment things got too quiet, too normal, too steady, she ran toward the chaos. Toward someone who saw her as a challenge instead of a partner. I turned, met her eyes. You mattered, Riley. You still do. But what matters now is whether I matter to you. She looked like she wanted to say yes, but something in her face cracked, and I saw it. The pause, the hesitation, the flinch that gave everything away. I nodded once. That was all I needed to see. I walked past her, down the stairs, and out into the heat-soaked morning. It had stopped raining, but everything still smelled like pavement and regret. As I reached the car, my phone buzzed. Unknown number again. I unlocked the screen, assuming it was more silence, more dead air from whoever had sent me the first video. But this time, it was a text. You don't know me, but you need to see this. Attached was a second video, and this one wasn't blurry. It wasn't a quick party clip or some shaky side-angle moment. It was clear. Close up. Hotel lobby security footage. Riley, laughing, hand in hand with the man from the rooftop, kissing in the elevator before the doors even closed. She looked like she'd done it before. I dropped my phone. It hit the asphalt and bounced under the car. I didn't move to grab it. I just stood there, staring at the empty passenger seat through the window, trying to keep my legs from giving out. I had left the apartment to escape. Now I realized I should have left her a long time ago. But the worst part? I still wasn't sure if I had the strength to let go. I didn't drive far. Just 30 minutes outside the city, to a place I hadn't been since I was 19, a dead-end road with a crumbling bench that overlooked the water treatment plant. Not romantic. Not beautiful. Just quiet. No memories attached to Riley. No scent of her shampoo in the air. No echoes of laughter that now tasted like lies. I sat there for an hour, maybe two, staring across the stagnant water like I was waiting for something to surface. A fish. A sign. A version of myself that didn't feel like a joke. The silence buzzed in my ears. The kind of silence that doesn't offer comfort, just space for your thoughts to sharpen into weapons. How long had it been going on? I replayed every smile. Every time she came home tired. Every weekend she insisted on girl time. How many of those nights ended in elevator kisses and hotel sheets? The thought made me nauseous. I was halfway through typing a text to my brother when my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I hesitated. My thumb hovered. This time, it wasn't a video. Just 3 words. She's still lying. I froze. Was this someone trying to help me, or twist the knife? Before I could decide, a second message came through. An address. A date. A time. Tomorrow night. 8:30 p.m. Same hotel. Room 509. Coincidence? Or an invitation? I stared at the message, blood pounding in my ears. Part of me wanted to delete it, block the number, pretend this was just some troll getting a thrill out of my pain. But another part, a darker part one barely recognized, needed to know. I needed truth, even if it split me in half. I saved the message. Then I drove to a cheap motel near the train station, paid in cash, and sat on a lumpy mattress for the rest of the day, doing absolutely nothing. No TV, no music, just my thoughts and the rattling AC unit that sounded like it might fall out of the wall. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept imagining what I'd say to her if she called, if she texted, but she didn't. No apology. No, are you safe? No explanation. And still, some pathetic part of me hoped she'd say something, even if it was just another lie I could catch her in. The next morning, I checked out early, bought a plain black hoodie and a pair of sunglasses from a gas station to avoid looking like myself. I felt ridiculous, like some dollar store spy, but I didn't care. I needed answers. And when 8:15 p.m. rolled around, I was already in the parking lot across from the Halston Hotel, heart pounding, eyes fixed on the revolving glass doors like a man waiting to see his own ghost. At 8:29, a black rideshare pulled up, and there she was, Riley, wearing the same leather jacket I bought her last Christmas, looking over her shoulder, alone, but walking fast, straight through the lobby, straight to the elevators. I waited, counted each floor she passed in my head. When it hit 5, I stepped out of the car and followed, not knowing if I was about to witness the end of my marriage or something far worse. The elevator ride up to the 5th floor felt like it took an hour. My hand hovered over the stop button more than once. I kept imagining what I might see when the doors opened, her wrapped around him again, her lying to someone else the way she lied to me, maybe worse. But what scared me more than anything was the thought that she wouldn't be doing anything wrong, that this whole setup, the text messages, the address, the video, had been some elaborate punishment by the universe for me being spineless. When the door slid open, The hallway was dead silent. Room 509 was 4 doors down, on the left. I took slow, careful steps, listening to the carpet muffle every footfall like the building itself didn't want to admit what was happening inside. I reached the door. Voices. Muted, but clear enough to recognize. Riley's. And a man's. I couldn't make out words, just tones. She sounded calm. Like this wasn't their first time meeting. Like whatever was happening in there had rules and rhythm and repetition. I was shaking, but I didn't knock. I didn't barge in. I took out my phone. I recorded the audio for a minute. Then two. I knew I wouldn't be able to listen to it later. Not without breaking something, but I needed proof. Not for anyone else. Just for me. To silence the part of myself still whispering. Maybe you misunderstood everything. Suddenly, the door cracked open. Not wide. Just enough for light to spill out across the hallway carpet. I froze. It wasn't Riley. It was the man. Tall. Athletic. Late 30s. Designer stubble and expensive cologne. The kind of guy you'd see smirking from a rooftop bar, holding 2 drinks and wearing shoes that cost more than my monthly rent. His expression changed when he saw me. Not fear, not guilt, but curiosity. Like I was the valet who had walked into the wrong section of the hotel. "You lost?" he asked. I didn't answer. Before I could speak, Riley appeared behind him. Her hair was damp from a shower, and she was wearing the oversized t-shirt I used to sleep in back when she still wanted to fall asleep beside me. Seeing it on her now, in this place, next to this man, it sent something sharp and metallic slicing through my ribs. She saw me. Her face fell, like something collapsed behind her eyes. "Cliff." That's all she said. No excuses. No shock. No outrage. Just my name. Like she'd been expecting this. Like a guilty child who knew the punishment had finally arrived. The man turned to her. "You know this guy?" She didn't answer. Didn't have to. Her silence said everything. I took a step back. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to make a scene. I was done giving her that kind of power. I just needed to see it with my own eyes, I said quietly. Now I have. "Cliff, wait." But I was already walking. I didn't look back. Not even when she called my name again. I hit the stairs instead of the elevator. Needed to move. Needed to feel my legs working so I could remember that I still existed. That I wasn't just some fragile shadow of a man too weak to stand up for himself. As I reached the exit, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She told him you were her roommate. I stopped in the middle of the parking lot. Roommate. 8 years of love, arguments, laughter, and apologies, reduced to a convenient lie. I felt something inside me crack open, but it didn't hurt. It felt like clarity. I wasn't going home. Not tonight. Maybe not ever again. But I wasn't running anymore. It was her turn to wonder what I would do next. I didn't sleep that night either, but it wasn't like before. The emptiness I'd felt in the motel, that numb paralysis, had shifted into something sharper. Not rage exactly, but something colder, more calculating. Like my brain finally stopped making space for her lies. Like a door had slammed shut and locked itself from the inside. I drove aimlessly for hours, stopped for gas I didn't need, and sat in parking lots scrolling through old photos I should have deleted months ago. There we were, apple-picking, blurry selfies in bed, her on my shoulders at a concert, laughing like the world existed just for her. None of it looked fake. That was the worst part. She looked happy. We looked real. But now, even the smiles felt like props from a play I hadn't realized I wasn't starring in. Around 4 a.m., I found myself outside our apartment. Our apartment. I hadn't said my apartment yet, and I hated that. I hated that everything inside those walls still felt like it belonged to both of us. The couch, the bookshelf, the stupid mug with the chipped handle, and worst of all, Taco. I didn't want to wake him, or her, but I needed to grab a few more things before I disappeared again. Just the essentials. I told myself it wouldn't take longer than 5 minutes. When I stepped inside, the lights were off. The place smelled faintly of her lavender candle, the one she only lit after arguments, as if fragrance could fix the air between us. The bedroom door was cracked. I didn't look inside, but I heard her, crying. Soft, broken sobs, like she didn't even want anyone to hear them. The kind you bury into a pillow so the walls won't repeat them back at you. I stood in the hallway for a few seconds, listening. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it would give me closure. Maybe I thought it would make me hate her less. But it didn't. If anything, it made me feel more disconnected, like I was listening to the pain of a stranger. She broke something, and now she was grieving it. But I was no longer the one trying to fix it. I grabbed my backpack, took the framed photo from our trip to Seattle off the nightstand, and quietly shut the door behind me. I didn't leave a note, but she must have heard me leave, because by the time I reached the car, my phone lit up again. Riley, please talk to me. Please. I know I don't deserve it, but I need you. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. No reply. 10 minutes later, another message. Riley, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. I didn't plan to fall into this. I just felt invisible, Cliff. You never fought for me. You never yelled. You just disappeared into your routines and stopped making me feel wanted. There it was again. That same excuse. That I somehow invited her betrayal by being too stable, too consistent, too reliable. I wanted to scream at her that loyalty isn't boring. That not cheating isn't predictable, it's respect. But it wouldn't matter. She was looking for chaos, and I was her safe harbor. Until she didn't need it anymore. Then came the next message. Riley, he didn't mean anything. It wasn't love. I was drunk. I was lonely. I messed up. But I came home to you. Doesn't that say something? I laughed. Out loud. Alone in my car, parked under a dying street lamp. I laughed like a man losing his grip on reality. She thought coming back was the gesture that should save everything. But it was never about where she ended up. It was about where she chose to go in the first place. And she didn't choose me. She chose him. She chose herself. She chose the thrill, the risk, the lie. I silenced her number. No blocking. No drama. Just silence. The same silence she gave me the night she walked out to party like our anniversary was just another line on the calendar. By noon the next day, I had signed a short-term lease on a studio across town. Nothing special. Mattress on the floor. No art on the walls. But it was mine. Clean slate. No ghosts. Until the knock came. 2 days later. Same soft tapping. Same front door. And this time, she wasn't crying. She was holding something. And what she said when I opened the door nearly dropped me to the floor. She was holding an envelope. Plain. White. A little bent at the corner like she'd been gripping it too tightly. Her hands trembled, but her expression wasn't desperate this time. It was tired. Still puffy-eyed, still pale, but not performative. Something in her had changed. Or maybe it had cracked open just enough to finally let honesty out. I didn't say anything. Just stood in the doorway of my new apartment. Bare walls behind me, mattress still on the floor, coffee brewing in a chipped mug I'd bought from a thrift store 2 hours earlier. It smelled nothing like our old home. And I needed that. I'm not here to fix it, she said quietly. I know I can't. I'm not stupid anymore. I didn't answer. She didn't expect me to. I found the journal, she continued. The one you used to write in. The one I laughed about and called your boring therapy notebook. I read it. She looked down like she'd just confessed to a crime. You wrote about trying to love me better. How you thought you were too quiet for me. How you practiced things to say to make me feel heard, even when I interrupted you. How you planned little surprises but stopped giving them because I didn't notice anymore. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. You never stopped loving me, she whispered. I just stopped seeing you. And that's on me. She held out the envelope. I wanted to hand you this in person. Not for pity. Not to beg you back. Just to take one weight off your chest. I took the envelope cautiously. Inside were 2 folded sheets, divorce documents, already signed. No lawyers. No traps. No manipulations. Just clean closure. I'm moving to my sister's, she said. I took a leave from work. I need to figure myself out. For real this time. Not just hide in someone else's bed when I feel lost. She stepped back, hands behind her, like she didn't want to even risk brushing against me. Cliff, if I could undo it all, I would. But I know that doesn't mean anything now. You don't owe me anything. I wanted you to know that I see you now. Fully. Finally. And then she left. No crying. No theatrics. Just the sound of her boots fading down the hallway. I didn't cry either. I stood in the doorway for a long time, holding that envelope like it weighed 50 pounds. Then I placed it on the table and poured myself a fresh cup of coffee. That afternoon, I walked through the city without a destination. I looked at the world like a man seeing it through different eyes. The pain hadn't disappeared, but something else had taken its place. Freedom. Peace. A quietness that wasn't empty this time. It was clean. I adopted a second dog a week later, a rescue named Maple, who immediately bonded with Taco like they were long-lost siblings. The apartment started filling up with life. Not noise, not distractions, just small pieces of happiness I built on my own terms. Months passed. I started journaling again, writing new things. About growth, about boundaries, about how love shouldn't have to prove itself over and over just to be enough. I don't know where Riley is now, and I don't need to. Because the truth is, she gave me something after all. A broken heart, yes, but also the permission to finally stop shrinking myself to be easy to love. And maybe that was the beginning I needed all along.